Mr. Savory, and of course, we want to also thank you for your stewardship of the branch and your service to the community here in Bartica. Banks Dihih Holdings is committed to community development, and we extend this commitment by actual demonstration. We believe that an investment in the education of the young people in this community also serves well in creating a generation that we can all rely on. And with this in mind, we are today pleased to present 2 donations to 2 schools here in Bartica. I would like to ask Mr. Reis to step forward and present these awards on behalf of Banks Dihih Holdings. We are going to award today St. John the Baptist Primary School and Falmouth Primary School. Can the representatives please step forward? Thank you, Mr. Reis. In order to garner our trust, we believe that a leader must exemplify 2 things: character and competence. Because we're not going to follow someone we don't trust, right? These are words that we can indeed use to describe our chairman, Mr. Clifford Reis. In his dynamic role, he has demonstrated over the years that he is indeed someone who is competent and more than capable of doing the job. And he definitely demonstrates the character to lead because he does so with empathy and transparency. His commitment to ensuring shareholders' value and results inspire all of us at Banks Dihih Holdings to remain committed to our commitment to excellence. Please stand with me as we welcome Mr. Clifford Reis, Chairman, to present his address to me.
Please be seated. Thank you very much. Thank you for those remarks, Sonia. Good morning, all. Let me welcome the regional chairman, the mayor, commanding officer, all shareholders and friends who are here today. Please permit me this morning to extend a warm and a cordial welcome to this first annual meeting in Bartica under the caption of Banks Dihih Holdings Inc. And to sincerely thank you for your unstinting support and encouragement over the period since we last met. Also permit me on my own behalf and that of the Board of Directors, the management and the staff to extend best wishes for a peaceful, healthy, and a productive 2025. Mr. Paul Andrew Carto, the Human Resources and Fiscal Director at Banks Dihih Limited, has retired after an impressive 44 years of service with the company. His time with the company has been marked by significant contributions to both the organization and its employees. Mr. Carto joined Banks Dihih Limited in 1980 as Demico Division. He would later transfer to Torsparac to head the Nutrisco Foods operations before transitioning to the Human Resource Director, where he was pivotal in determining the company's human resources strategies and plans. This is where he conducted or concluded his professional journey. His legacy will undoubtedly continue to shape the company's culture and practices, and we'd like to wish him a very happy retirement. Reis Limited is thrilled to announce the appointment of Mr. Reis as the new finance director on the 21st of March 2024. With 43 years of experience in the field of accounts and finance, Mr. Seapol stands as a seasoned professional whose journey has been marked by dedication and expertise. Recognizing his financial acumen, Mr. Seapol climbed the organizational ladder, first as a credit control manager, then as an audit executive, where his keen eye for detail and commitment to financial integrity led him to oversee the audit processes. Later on, Mr. Seapol was appointed as a financial controller and assistant company secretary. In recent years, he assumed dual responsibilities of ensuring financial stability and compliance with the company's operations and reporting requirements. Mr. Seapol's hunger for knowledge drove him to pursue certifications in the financial and accounting field. ACCA studies elevating his financial expertise, CFO certification, a testament to his strategic financial leadership, and he also attended the Richard Ivey School of Business of the University of Western Ontario. Let us welcome Mr. Seapol to the Board of Directors. Reis Limited is also thrilled to announce the appointment of Mr. Carlton Joe as the new Director of Marketing effective the 1st of June 2024. Mr. Joe brings a wealth of experience and a proven track record of success in marketing strategies and brand management. Mr. Joe began his journey with Reis Limited on the 1st of October 1990 as an engineering trainee. In 1993, upon graduating as a civil engineer, he was appointed the Buildings and the Properties Manager. In 2006, he was transferred to the sales department and excelled as a sales and marketing executive for 17 of his 31 plus years with this company. Mr. Joe holds a Bachelor of Engineering degree in Civil Engineering and a Master's of Business Administration from the University of Ghana, Commonwealth of Learnings. He also attended the University of Western Ontario, where he completed the STEAM IV Executive Program. Additionally, he has completed the Demand-Driven Route to Market Innovation Program at Georgia Institute of Technology University and is a PM4R Project Management Expert certified by the Inter-American Development Bank. Let us also welcome him to the Board of Directors. My fellow shareholders and friends, remember, success is not just a destination. It is an ongoing journey. We have to stay focused and we always have to keep pushing forward. Success does not happen overnight. It's a journey faced with challenges, learning and growth, because in today's fast-forward world, staying ahead, we have to constantly innovate new ideas. We have to embrace new technologies and adapt to market changes that can set us apart from the competitors, because stagnation in a company is no longer an option. Every business faces obstacles, be it economic downturns or upturns, fierce competition or unforeseen setbacks. Example, regulatory delays in approving new programs approved by shareholders. The ability to bounce back and learn from failure is very crucial. It's not about avoiding mistakes, it is how you respond to them. On numerous occasions, I have addressed the system of the 4 pillars of a company, Reis Limited. We spoke about shareholders, suppliers, employees, and customers, which support the success of any company. My fellow shareholders, by now you would have received your share certificate and the first interim payment of dividend from this new company. As you will recall, it was created pursuant to a scheme of arrangements under which the shareholders of Reis Limited would exchange the shares for shares to be issued by the new holding company, Reis Holdings Inc. These shares will carry the same value with the potential for increase as a result of the advantages likely to result from this new structure. Many of you may recall the process started some 18 months ago with shareholders' approval of the scheme of arrangement at a special meeting of shareholders held on Saturday, the 15th of July 2023. The approval was over 99% in favor of this new structure, which is designed to modernize and take advantage of the many business opportunities arising in Guyana within recent years. However, your ability to trade the shares have only received approval from the regulator, the Guyana Securities Council, at the beginning of this month on the 3rd of January 2025. Many questions have been asked as to why it took so long, some 18 months, from shareholders' approval of the scheme of arrangement to the ability of the shareholders to trade their shares on the Ghana Stock Exchange. This was so because shortly after the shareholders' approval, the court approved the scheme of arrangement on the 4th of September 2023, less than 2 months thereafter. Welcome to Bartica. My fellow shareholders and friends, it is therefore incumbent on me to provide a brief explanation of what transpired. To implement the scheme of arrangement, it was required by the securities legislation that Dihih Limited cease to be a public company and its registration delisted by the Ghana Security Council, and for Dihih Holding Inc. to be listed as a reporting issuer. The applications to the Ghana Security Council were made on the 8th of September 2023, 4 days after the court's approval. Thereafter, there was an extended correspondence between Dihih Limited and the Ghana Security Council, who continued to demand information and was never satisfied with the provisions of such information. We were going around, my fellow shareholders, in circles. The matter reached the point where we had to take legal proceedings in the High Court in order to have the matter clarified. Those proceedings were filed on the 20th of December 2023. Some 7 months later, the court fixed a timetable for the provision of any additional information by Dihih Limited to the Ghana Security Council. Once again, the corresponding then resumed with demands for information and the provision of the same to the point where at the end of August 2024, the Ghana Security Council considered that the matter was ready to be placed before its board for consideration. My fellow shareholders, however, at that point it was suddenly disclosed, unknown to Dihih Limited, that there was no board in place by the Ghana Security Council, a situation which had existed for 2 years, and a new board had to be appointed. The new board was appointed on the 11th of September 2024, and they met on the 23rd of October 24, and at that meeting, the board of the Ghana Security Council approved Dihih Limited being deregistered as a reporting issuer and Dihih Holdings Inc. be registered as a reporting issuer. However, to our great surprise again, the Ghana Security Council withheld the issuance of the certificate of registration and made further demands for additional information, which it claimed was necessary before it will release the certificate of registration. Accordingly, for the next 2 months, there was more correspondence, like once again, passing between the Ghana Security Council and Dihih Limited. finally, by the letter dated the 3rd of December 2024, we wrote to the Ghana Security Council asking the obvious questions. Why is the Ghana Security Council continue to delay the release of the certificate of registration by reference to conditions precedent which are devoid of legal authority? The Ghana Security Council could identify no provision in the legislation which justify this position. Accordingly, we finally received the certificate of registration on the 3rd of January 2025. The foregoing, fellow shareholders, is an explanation and disclosure of the events related to the delay of you being able to trade your shares on the Ghana Stock Exchange. But what are the lessons to be learned, fellow shareholders, from the lengthy delay in activating Dihih Holdings Inc.? Having regard to the lengthy delay in activating and bringing the operations of Dihih Holdings Inc., there are a number of questions which arise as to what are the lessons to be learned and what is the message being sent to companies who would like to go public. It cannot be seriously disputed that Dihih Limited, before being replaced by Dihih Holdings Inc., was the icon in the public companies in Ghana. It has 15,393 shareholders, 69 years as a public company, and it pays an average of $51.5 million per day in excise taxes, corporation taxes, VAT, environmental levy, and PAYE. Notwithstanding all of that, it took 18 months after shareholders' approval for Dihih Holdings Inc. to be fully registered as a public company and to be activated so that the shares could be traded on the Ghana Stock Exchange. The fundamental question, my fellow shareholders, which arises is what is the message being sent to both foreign and local companies who are considering the information or the formation of public companies to support and take advantage of the growing economy in Ghana for the benefit of its citizens. It is clear that this is not a good message emanating from the regulators of the capital market, because public company shares have been traded for over 22 years, and to date, no additional public company has been listed. There are no mechanisms for price stabilization or an alert program, and no bonds have been issued. These are all features of a vibrant and active capital market. What is clear, my fellow shareholders and friends, from the Dihih Limited experience is that the following matters have to be now considered for implementation if there is to be a vibrant capital market in Ghana. First, we have to review of the laws and the regulations of the capital market to make the necessary amendments so as to support and encourage a vibrant capital market in the context of a growing economy in Ghana. We have the creation of a manual or a playbook from the regulator so as to avoid the recourse to the courts for interpretation of the relevant laws and regulations. We have to consider or consideration to be given by the Ghana Stock Exchange for annual fees to be paid by all public companies listed on the secondary market, and also consideration of a creation of a price stabilization mechanism or an alert program immediately. In relation to all of the proposed and suggested reforms, my fellow shareholders, it is hoped that the voice of other public companies will not remain silent. We must all speak out in the interest of the growth of the economy of Ghana, because change is constant and also critical to facilitate the orderly conduct of business in Ghana. In the poem Piers Plowman, written in 1360 by an English poet, William Langland, he wrote, quote, "Patience is a virtue," unquote. We have that at Dihih Limited, fellow shareholders. The share price are a function of many things, my fellow shareholders, including a broader macroeconomic and a global market factors which are beyond our control. Our focus is setting and delivering on our growth strategy, our operating and financial performance, and delivering growth and value for our shareholders, which is a key pillar of our strategy. We believe it's appropriate to consider total shareholders' returns, including dividends. Delivering growth and value for shareholders remains one of our key financial ambitions. It is one of the key pillars of our strategy, and we have a strong focus on this, fellow shareholders. The introduction of this newly incorporated holding company, Banks Dihih Holding Inc., as the new ultimate parent of Banks Dihih Limited Group, was a legal reorganization and did not by itself result in any immediate change in the underlying assets or business activities of Banks Dihih Limited Group. The reorganization also included certain other incorporation steps. In addition to Banks Dihih Limited shareholders' approval of the scheme of arrangement, while these steps were completed over a period of time for accountancy purposes, all the steps were considered together as they were undertaken in the contemplation of the reorganization as a whole and were completed in 2024. From an accounting perspective, the share exchange is considered a transaction under common control and the group's accountancy policy. It is applied to the predecessor method. Accordingly, Banks Dihih Holding Inc. consolidated financial statements was presented as a continuation of the existing financial performance and the financial position of Banks Dihih Limited Group. As such, at the end of the year ending the 30th of September 24, the consolidated financial statements of Banks Dihih Holdings Inc. Group have included the historical financial information of Banks Dihih Limited Group for both the period before and after the reorganization. This means that the court will have before evidence of what the scheme of arrangement means in terms of share price to be attached to the new shares to be issued by Banks Dihih Holdings Inc. The last trading price of Banks Dihih Limited on Monday the 20th of January 25 was $184 per share. And the closing price of Banks Dihih shares on the 2nd of August when it came out the stock exchange was $180. Now, my fellow shareholders, I just spoke about changing the laws and regulations of an odd lot market. 1 year ago, I mentioned this at the annual general meeting, and nothing has been done. Absolute nothing has been done. I want to make this statement today because annual general meetings are about financial matters and shareholders' values. On Monday, 2 days ago, the last trading price of bank shares dropped to $170 per share. 170. And the week before was 184. The price was affected by 1,000 shares. 1,000 shares were sold on the stock exchange, and it impacted 849,861,536 shares. One share. The same thing could happen with 10 shares or 50 shares. The whole system is wrong. The whole system is wrong. My fellow shareholders, that is the main reason why we are recommending a price stabilization program or an odd lot market. How is it possible that a company with a performance like banks, showing increased revenues, increased profits, increased dividends, and major capital expansion programs can have its price per share reduced in 1 week? It's impossible. No one in the world will see this. This does not happen in the capital market in the world. It's impossible because we don't have an odd lot market. The only country in the Caribbean don't have one is Guyana. I'm speaking about this now for 4 or 5 years, and there's nothing being done. We must take note of this. At an annual general meeting of a company, the emphasis on the report of the financial statements. That is what this meeting is about. Financial statements, numbers, values. Capital expansion programs, you want to hear about your shares and where it's going. dividends, and shareholders. That is what an annual general meeting is about. Well, we have no objections to press reports about questions asked and answers given. It is important that the focus should be on shareholders' value and the development of a credible capital market in Guyana. In that regard, my fellow shareholders, it is suggested that the press should be asking both the Stock Exchange and the Ghana Security Council the following questions. Why not a price stabilization program or an odd lot market, and when was this will be implemented? Ghana is the only country in the Caribbean, as I said, without an odd lot market. Second question, how many companies have applied to the Ghana Security Council over the last 22 years to go public and issue shares? To date, none has been reported as reporting issues. The question is why? Is there a regime for corporate governance and transparencies in this method? The brokers who are handling the trading of shares must also be aware of the small amount of shares traded and its impact on the total shares value. Some of the brokers are also custodians of pension schemes, and is a part of their duties to educate the seller and the buyer of share values subject to the financial performance again of the companies. And if the foregoing matters have to be urgently addressed by the relative authorities in Ghana, it has to have any hope of developing a modern and credible capital market. This has to be done. This is not a business anymore about questions, you know. You don't have a problem in those questions. But when you come to an annual general meeting, that is why it is marked in the annual report. The questions are relative to financial matters. You want to know values, dividends, what the company is doing, should I continue investing? Some of the questions asked have been coming around for the last 50 years. Same questions every year. That is not the forum for it anymore. The forum is financial discussions. But what makes a share price increase, my fellows? What makes this price increase? We do recognize the demand and supply system, but the real measures are increased revenues, increased profits, increased dividends, and Banks Dihih Limited Holding has proven or shown positive results. I have said on many occasions, fellow shareholders, do not sell your shares. With the continued performance of your company, the minimum share price should be between $230 and $250 per share. And it will increase next year with this company's expansion program, which I'm going to brief you about in a few minutes. But we would like to put on record our appreciation to the Mayor and City Council of Georgetown for their support in the relocation of the vendors at Demico House properties. I think if you visited now, you'll see a lot of it is cleared. With the present liquidity in the commercial banks, and this goes out to all the city mayors and councils, there's excess liquidity in the banks. You must start to consider the sale of municipal bonds. You have to consider to raise money, and you have to do it by selling bonds. But the Security Council don't have one bond for the last 22 years. You can use this money to rebuild all your markets and build parking lots, just like what banks have done. If you get a bond, first 5 years, you pay 4% interest, higher than the bank. The next 5 years, you discount the capital by 20% per year. So what you have? The banks have so much liquidity, and we're not using it. We're not using it. We're looking for give-outs. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. We have to start to think out of the box. And that is what we are doing in banks. We can't afford, yesterday was history. We only can use that as a guideline, but it's not going to carry us forward. Your company, my fellow shareholders, under the Companies Act, stipulates that the treatment of this capital reserve. There are a lot of articles written about capital reserves, and I don't think some of them writers understand financial terminology. Under the scheme of arrangement, the shareholders of Banks Limited, they did exchange their shares for the same number of shares in Banks Holding Inc. without any change in the rights. We said that there will be no change in the rights and proportion of the control exercise. The difference of this $63 billion between the normal value of shares issued and under the SOA, the $2 billion, and the carrying value of the net assets of Banks Dihih Limited, which is $62 billion, as at that date on the 18th of July, has been reorganized in the capital reserve within Banks Holding Limited. And all of this is shown in the annual report. What I can't understand is Banks Dihih Limited have buildings, assets, liability, reserve, you're selling beers, salt drinks. Where did it go the day after? A simple management 101 class. Where did it go? It is still there. We're not still selling beer in Bartica. Who owns it? The same shareholders are sitting here. Is it so difficult to comprehend as a financial student? It's not rocket science. And still people are writing all sorts of nonsense. Under the capital reserve, it's there in the laws. You cannot use capital reserves, right, to pay a dividend. Otherwise, the students of law understand this. Why does people write laws? Because you have to go read the first 6 paragraphs, read the paragraph, read the 6 after. Because law is a flowing, comprehensive thing. You look at the capital reserve. What did it say? You can't use it as a dividend. Why? Otherwise, the buyer, right, will take it, go to the bank to Mr. Chester, borrow the money in advance, and then he will pay you for it, and then when he collects your company, he pays back himself a dividend. And he pay out the bank. So he took over your business, free of cost. And that's why they say you cannot use it. You only can use it for bonus shares. And that is what we have done for many years in banks. Since I became the chairman of banks in 1989, we did bonus shares in 86, 88, 91, 94, 96, 2001, 2004. That's bonus shares. And the board of directors can recommend under this new company to give bonus shares again. So the capital reserves can be used as a bonus shares. If the company is closed down, the assets are there, the liability there, what is the net result? The result which goes to you. So this concept they're writing about how the shares are zero value and have no value, my God, I hope I'm not a professor marking their paper. They will never graduate in school. Let me tell you what they do, and let me clarify this point. If you look at chapter 6 of the annual report, it shows that Banks Dihih Limited Holding Company received a dividend. What happened at the 18th of July 2024? Banks Dihih Limited stopped as a public company. But what happened from the 19th to the 30th of September? The holding company took it over. So the money earned between that period belongs to the holding company at that time. So we were able to pay a dividend. I don't know why people look at $9 billion in net profit. This company makes $900 million a month in profit, per month. So it takes 2.5 months multiplied by 2, it's $2 billion. So do we have money to pay dividends? We do have money to pay dividends. Again, the 101 class. So at the 30th September, the company transferred $1.3 billion as a dividend to the holding company, and that is on page 46 of your report. My fellow shareholders, I want to thank you again for coming today. I'm sorry I have to go into this in depth. It's just to clarify the misconceptions, because why? Share values can be affected by rumors. Good example, Monday, September, United States. The AI company said that they have the best AI all over the news. As Trump talks about putting 500 billion, how much money into the AI program. Monday morning, the Chinese say, I got one better than you and cheaper than you. And their share value dropped by $563 million in one day. You see what happens? People invest money when they see results. When they see going the right way, they run. And that's the demand and supply system. So how could bank shares go down when you're making more profits? Impossible. We have faced many challenges in this company. We made the right decisions, but through resilience and innovation, we continue to grow significant systems. One of the pillars of a company is the employees of a company. And banks is very serious about that. We had our discussions with the General Worker Union, and we were able to conclude negotiations within 30 hours of the meeting. Within 30 hours, banks was able to solve or sign an agreement with the union. What we did. In 2025, we increased salaries by 11%. And that's not on the basic, that is on your present income. Because why we have to recognize your services prior to that date. You can't give the same person who working for 1 year and the person who working for 20 years. So the salary is 11% of your current salary. And then in 2026, we're going to pay 7%. In 2027, 6%. And I could say this, never in the history of banks, on the third year, we stuck to this agreement. Why? Because we look at the company's profit, we look at the growth, and I don't need a union to come to tell me to increase salaries. I don't need a union to do that to me. The directors of banks understand welfare of employees. We don't need all respect to the union. They do a good job, Mr. Witter. But we call in the union and said, you want to increase salaries. And history tells us the General Workers Union was invited to come to Banks Dihih Limited by the last chairman. They were invited to come and represent workers. Because why? I can't vouch for every manager in the company. They might take advantage of a worker. So you need a watchdog, somebody to look, somebody to see they're following the human resources methods. But what have we done? We pay these salaries, yes, but we also increase benefits. We pay for breakfast in the morning if you come to work before a certain time. If you work through the lunch, we pay for it. We give you a vacation, time to go, large sums of money. You can travel overseas if you can afford it. You can go to the interiors and tourism in here because we believe in relaxation. We give you long service awards. Right now, if you finish 20 years service, you get $100,000 from the company. If you finish 10 years service, you get $50,000 from the company. You have something called the Conditions of Employment Allowance, $16,500 a month for your uniforms, and you're supposed to spend some of it towards your meal. If you get transferred to Bartica, we give you inconvenience allowances, we give you out-of-town allowances, we pay for your dental work, we pay for your optical work, we pay for your burial. On top of that, if you save 2.5% of your salary, which is compulsory, the company matches it, they give another 2.5%. So you get 100%. On top of that, the last year figure, we pay 10, 11% interest on it, 10 times what Mr. Chester is paying. On top of that, we don't really sever you. You have a pension scheme. Guarantee if you're to die before 10 years of retirement, your wife continues or your spouse continues to get it. Guaranteed. 120 months, 10 years. On top of that, we give you severance pay, non-taxable, to the maximum of 2 years pay. So if you completed so many services, like if you completed 10 years service, you get 20 weeks. If you complete beyond that, you get 3 weeks per year. You can earn a maximum of 2 years salary on the aggregate of the last 2 years. That's paid to use a lump sum of money. So you just don't go out into the road, your pockets are filled. That is our responsibility to the pillars of the employees in Banks Dihih. On top of that, we give you monthly bonuses called PI. Every 6 months after the profit, we give you a bonus. Christmas time, we give you a bonus. We give you drinks 4 times a year. We give you biscuits every month. So you can imagine what a bank's employee gets. And still they resign, instead of going to the oil industry. We are committed, my fellow shareholders, to sustainability, inclusiveness, and corporate responsibility. Our initiatives have gained recognition, positioning us as a forward-thinking company because why? We just don't value profit alone. We value purpose and we value people. All this thing about AI going to run plants and stay home and work. But if there's one thing Mr. Trump said I support, you got to come back to the office. But what did we do? What was the performance in 2024? The overall performance of this company improved by recording a profit before taxation of 16.9 billion compared to 14 billion the previous year. We increased profits by $2.5 billion. And the profit after tax for the group attributable to shareholders increased from 8.9 billion to 10.5 billion. We recommended a dividend of $2.60 per share. It's going to cost the company $2.2 billion. These are some of the highlights of the real profit statement of banks. Profits, revenue, expenses, dividends paid. But it's also important that we reflect on the past year and the highlight of these performances and strides. But we all made it together as a team. Shareholders, suppliers, employees, and customers. Our revenue growth has exceeded our expectations with a remarkable increase of 11% and a net profit increase of 17.5% compared to the last year. This achievement is a testament to our commitment, dedication, and the strategic initiatives we implemented in 2024. We have done new products. We have added new products to the company. We have an aged 25 years old Caribbean Finest rum, XM. We have added classic beer. We brought in Minute Maid food coolers. We have a new pastries called Danish King's Pastries, which all of them have been well received by our customers. These innovations not only reinforce our position as industrial leaders, but also pave the way for future growth opportunities. I want to say to you, this Danish pastry, it didn't come from the chairman, it didn't come from the board of directors, it came from an employee who works in the pastry division. That employee did this wonderful pastry, and her name is King. That's why we call it King's Danish Pastry. We recognize her for her contribution to the company, and now she have a legacy, because she did it, and it's selling in the restaurants. All of these things, then, my fellow shareholders, it showed that we work together as a team. But let me speak a little bit about this capital expansion program. During the year, the capital works were completed because we upgraded the number 1 and number 2 soft drink plants. We made both plants now Coca-Cola compliant, as well as facilitating the production of this Minute Maid food coolers. I'll give you an example. The 2 plants are capable now of producing 900,000 cases of soft drinks per month, and that's flat time. You got to come and see these new plants run now. It has AI, yes, but people said AI going to reduce staff. To me, no, it's the reverse. Because when you produce 900,000 cases of beverage, you need trucks to sell it. So you got to employ more people. But these 2 plants now are compliant, so we can do Coca-Cola, IC, on both plants. We did some work on this beer plant, the labeler, the unpacker, and the uncaser. Now these things happen because of the overall. We did some work too in the rum and the wine area, new blow molding plants. We put in new generators, put in new CO2 plants, because we were importing some CO2 to Trinidad. We stopped doing that. Banks Dihih Limited believes in self-sufficiencies. The only thing must go beyond Torres Park must be a finished product. We have our own wells, we have our own generating plants, own CO2 plants, services to all plants. Everything is built around Torres Park. Because why? We can't depend on the external factor to run the company. We must only sell finished products beyond the walls. We did a lot of work on the buildings. I think you're aware of this new elevated car park that which we have built. It's fully commenced and operative now. And the reason for that is that we have 500 employees who have cars. So where do we park it? But the benefit of that, we had finished the design for the restaurant on the top floor. We finished it about a month ago, and we are going to implement it. We're hoping we can complete it before next year, March. The reason for this restaurant is because after 4 o'clock, what happened to all these parking lots? Everybody's gone home, so we have to find use for it. So the customers who are going to use the restaurant upstairs will have that facility. The restaurants will be catering for about 250 people, all tablecloth services. On the floor of the restaurants, there's going to be water, with fishing running between it. So it's a well-designed project. We have also included new generators. We bought another one for 1.7 megawatts. New coolers, new forklifts. All of these things we have done last year to make the company compliant so we can enhance our initiatives. But let me go into this year 25. What we plan to do. We have approved $13 billion to spend this year. And I must say to you, we're not borrowing. We have the cash flow to do these projects. That's some serious rain, right? Let's give it a minute. And that's what I said to you earlier. For you to sell your shares or buy a share in a company, you must be aware of the company's expansion program. Where are we going? Where are we going in this company to give you more profits? Are you observing the skills of the Demico House executive? You know, the engineers are still sitting with administrative 61. Congratulations, Desmond. As I was saying, my fellow shareholders, where are we going to be spending this money next year? We are buying a new beer bottling plant, which we have signed the contract already for it. Our engineers are going to Germany this weekend. We're hoping that this plant will be installed and ready for next Christmas, this Christmas. We have also ordered a new canning line. The first time we can have a canning production plant in Banks. It will do malt products and soft drink products. We have bought new fermenting tanks because we need more storage for pouring the beer, new soft drink palletizers. We also ordered new cold storage for the Demico House, a new boiler, new generator, new filter plants for the rum factory, trucks, forklifts, building expansions. All of these things we are doing, fellow shareholders, to generate more wealth for this company. The revenue of Citizens Bank, a 51% owned subsidiary of the company, is $7 billion, and it's roughly $1.5 billion over the previous year, or 26%. And the profit before tax was $3.7 billion compared to $3.2 billion in 2023, an increase of $500 million. The bank's automotive industry, also subsidiary of the company, 100% owned. The revenue generated was $81 million, and the profit before tax was $7.4 million. I already mentioned to you the dividends that what we are paying, and I think by sometime before the week is out, you're going to receive your dividend checks, and those who use the banking service for transferring the funds, it has already been done. The checks were printed and signed off yesterday morning. The total dividend, as I said earlier, will cost the company $2.2 billion. Now, Mr. Savory, in his presentation a few minutes ago, he's very gracious, you know. He doesn't want to maybe blow his own trumpet. But let me blow it for him. The revenues in this Bartica area was $1,811,000,000. The sales has increased by 247 million. It's a 16% growth. We had increases in Banks Beer, GT Beer, Guinness, Stout, soft drinks industry, and the bread. These results were earned at the Bartica branch. And Mr. Savory and the Bartica employees have won the chairman's prestigious award in December. It was hard work on this part, and I want us to really congratulate myself and the staff and also our customers in this area for supporting him. Thank you very much, Mr. Savory. We also have the bank up here, Bartica Bank. It gives me some great pleasure to report on the continuing strong performance of the Bartica branch of Citizen Bank, which ended in September the 30th, 24. The branch has once again demonstrated the resilience and the commitment to growth, achieving several noteworthy milestones. During the year, the total revenue of the Bartica branch increased by 10.2 million, reflecting a growth of 7%, and to reach 184 million. The loans and advances rose by 163 million, or 13%, bringing the total of $1.4 billion. And meanwhile, the customer deposits at this branch increased by 844 million to now $3.3 billion. I want to extend a lot of congratulations to the staff and the branch manager, Ms. Natalie Basco, and her team for the exceptional performance and dedication for the past year. And we're looking forward to when the new bank is open, Ms. Basco. We have doubled the profits. We did very good, my fellow shareholders, on our quality management environment. We have met all the international standards and Coca-Cola standards. We are doing great work in the communities that what we work on. Employees, we got work study programs. We have a lot of children or students at the University of Guyana. We have given children awards and employee shareholders who were successful in National Grade 6 assessment programs. We encourage individuals to go to school. We have students at the University of Guyana, Guy Suko. But what is the future outlook for this company? My fellow shareholders and friends, as we reflect on the recently concluded financial year, there is a cause to celebrate the resilience of the company in overcoming the many challenges presented. But looking forward to 2025 financial year and beyond, we aim to unlock the full potential of the global brand portfolio while solidifying our reputation as a consumer-focused entity. We remain dedicated to enhancing our core programs, particularly in the areas of manufacturing, marketing, innovation, revenue growth, management, and execution. All of these things we plan to do to increase shareholders' value. So before I get to the end of it, you're fully aware of what we are doing in Bartica today. We are building 2 buildings in Bartica which have started. We are building a bank, a new office for Citizen Bank. I think if you drive past it, you're going to see what the design looks like. If you go to Camp Street, if you go to Mandela Avenue, you're going to see the same design. Because what we want to do is wherever you go, you must see the same building, what marks Citizen Bank. We don't intend to put different designs all over the country, because that is what Citizen Bank stands for, where you belong. I just give you the good results of what Ms. Bascom and the staff they're doing, and the support of the customers and the clients of Citizen Bank. We see the potential in Bartica. 4 years ago, I came to the Bartica Regatta, and sitting with the president there, he said, I'm making Bartica tongue. I said, you make it the tongue, and Citizen Bank will put a bank. Well, we all know Bartica is the tongue. So we're here now. Shareholders have asked us many times, that all these expansion programs are taking place in the city. Why Bartica, Esquibo, Burbis, why not? Well, Burbis has a bank. Same thing like what you're going to see here. And we just did one in Mandela Avenue. So this new bank is being constructed because for everything we have seen in Bartica tells us is growth. And that comes about again to shareholders' value. Now, if you see the bank going up, investments are going up, you don't think your share value will definitely go up? On top of that, you're building the fast food restaurant. And let me give you a secret. Bartica Quick Serve is going to become the first drive-through quick serve of Bangladesh. So you're seeing the potential here. And I tell you something, there's more to come for Bartica. There's more to come. So I want my fellow shareholders and friends, I would be remiss in not extending my profound gratitude for the sustained dedication and guidance provided by the Board of Directors. The Board has been a driving force behind our progress over the past financial year. I also want to thank our leadership teams and all our employees for the commitment. Additionally, on behalf of the Board of Directors, I want to reaffirm our commitment to transparency and excellence. We are dedicated to keeping you informed about our progress and challenges as we move forward together. And I want to extend my sincere appreciation to our valued shareholders, suppliers, and customers. Your steadfast support and collaboration has been a bedrock of our achievement, and it is my hope that we each carry this commitment into the new financial year as we embark on this journey together. In conclusion, my fellow shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, permit me on my own behalf and that of the Board of Directors to extend to you and your loved ones an exciting and productive and rewarding 2025. Thank you very much. My fellow shareholders and friends, before I open the floor for any other questions in this area, there are some questions I received from shareholders. I think some of you might have already read it in the papers. But I think one or two they didn't address, so let me address them for you. The first question said, Mr. Chairman, there is a continued shortage of Banks beer products. And what are the plans to correct this? And is it the fact that the Chinese supermarkets are receiving more beer than the other supermarkets? Well, there are a lot of articles published of what is said on the Chinese supermarkets already. But on the first one with the shortage of Banks beer, there are three parts. There are three parts of building a brewery. Bangsa Island produces a world-class portfolio of malt products, which include Banks beer, GT beer, classic beer, Guinness, malt, Supreme, Vita Malt, classic, Vita Plus, Banks Shannon. Now you just take 7 or 8 of those items, and you're asking it to run in the same plant. And each plant time you change this, you have to sanitize the plant. Because you can't run Banks beer after you run Guinness without cleaning the plant, or vice versa. So the plant has to stop for a certain period to clean it. So what we do, we plan productions like this week, for example, we plan to run 50,000 cases of beer. The staff is working 24/7. The only day off they get is on Sundays. Now, we have respect for our employees. They have a family, they have children. You can't continue working people 12 hours a day, 24 for the rest of their life. And that's why we have to buy a new plant. So all during this process, we didn't have no opportunity of stopping this plant to do maintenance work. We all know maintenance is a crucial part of any production line. So the maintenance program was keep falling behind, and we had no choice in October to stop it. We had to stop the plant. It was planned to do it in 7 days. Unfortunately, it took 2 weeks. But we had to get this plant ready because this plant has to work again till next year, February, 26 February, until this new plant and everything gets back into line. Because what is the plant? The plan for us is to produce 900,000 cases of beer a month. Now, how do we do this? The first phase of a production plant in the beer industry, just figure put your mind, you're making dollar total. You're cooking dollar total in a pressure cooker. If you cook it today, you can't leave it outside, otherwise you're going to spoil it. You got to put it into refrigeration. You know, beer is a food. And it takes 14 days from production to bottling for a beer. So we only can do 2 trips a month in this situation. So the first thing we did, we built a cellar, which is like a refrigerator. You saw those tanks outside the building, they're insulated. So those tanks are holding at any time 200,000 gallons of beer. Sometimes they go up to 400, because we got to double up now, we are going now to 900,000 cases of beer. So we had to build the cellars. For the new tanks, and I said earlier, we just ordered 2 more 10,000 gallon tanks to go there. We did the foundation since 3 years ago. This plan started since 2023, 22. Because we knew in 2025, the economy of this country is going to double up. So we couldn't wait until now to do it. So we started a plan. First phase. The second phase, we had to go and buy a new production plant to produce the beer. But the present plant could only do 450,000. So we went and we bought another one, 450 more, so we can do the 900,000. That was implemented last year, August. So we can brew 900,000, we can store it, but we can't bottle it. But that's the third phase. Our plan was to put in this bottling plant this year. But because we saw the sales start to increase, we decided we were going to go and do it immediately last year, August. We turned up to the guys who were producing the plants, and they said, join the line, go to the back of the line. Because they got 63 companies ahead of you. And you're not going to get your own maybe till 2027, 2028. Now these plants is not like going to buy a car. It has to be built according to your specifications, sizes, everything. It's a turnkey project to suit your production. Fortunately for us, one of the companies or countries which failed to meet the obligations opened a window for us, and we took it. When we went to negotiate, they said to us, you have 7 days to put down $8 million US. If you don't put down the 8 million, join the line again. Banks GIS Limited have $25 billion in cash flow. But that's not the problem. Where do you get the US money from? Mr. Chester don't have US money. But we do export sales. And we kept all that US dollars in emergencies like this. So we were able to put down the money within 6 days and sign the contract. That was what we did. So all of this is what happened to this bank's beer. Now the plant is up and running, yes, but we still have some mechanical problems. And that is why we have added a canning line now to the system. The canning line will do approximately 150,000 more per month. But what we did, we made it, a plant can do both parts. It can do beer and soft drinks and Coca-Cola. And we have some other products which we're looking at. We have to build flexibility in our system. So fellow shareholders, these plans are logistics management. We got the plan, we order it, and then we ask ourselves, where are we going to put it? It has to go to our park because that's where the wells are. So we had to empty a store. And if you drive along, we bought the land in Mandela Avenue because it came available about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Drive along Mandela Avenue this morning. You can see a big 2-story building being built. We have to move the stores now and put it in there, and that building has to become now the bottling line. The cricket field you see at Torres Park might not be there next year because we have to store 5.4 million cans. Plus we got to, so where do we put it again? We don't have space. And that is why your company went and bought 40 acres of land off of the Heroes Highway. And that is called Torres Park 2. Now when we bought that land 2 years ago, we paid $50 million for it. The person across the road is selling their own now for $210 million per acre. So if you don't build nothing, you can make 4 times the profit. But that's not Ban's business. We're not in the business of selling land. We're in the business of building manufacturing plants. So those are some of the problems, my fellow shareholders, that what we have understood. And that is why I want to emphasize this point. This beer bottling plant is not a guesswork. This expansion program was discussed with the government of Ghana. Because the government of Ghana, the president himself, has made a commitment that he will fully support this project. And he has done it. He has kept his word. Take my word for it. He has kept his word. He is supporting this expansion program 100%. And this brings into my focus the local content programs. I want it to be known today, my fellows, let it be known that the brewing and bottling of beer will be done only by Banks Dihih Limited in this country. No other beer company is going to manufacture beer in this country. No other company. It must be owned by Guyanese and it must be operated by Guyanese. Are we going to sell out everything? No, it's not going to happen. This dividends the shareholdings of people. This country don't require 2 breweries. You can't produce 900,000 cases of products a month with a population of 800,000. Ask each child man who to drink a case of beer per month. We can do it 2 breweries. We have a lot of other industries which we need investment in. It's the same like what the president keeps saying, one Guyana. It's one Guyana now. I'm a strong supporter of local content. And that is why you're back with me today. That's why we're going to promote this. There's a big press conference coming up this week. It's called Freshness is Domestic. Now, what is domestic? Beer don't travel good. One of the cabinet members suffered a soft drink expired product. It was nothing to do with banks. You see a lot of the canned foods in the supermarket are expired goods. Why? Freshness is domestic. Fresh doesn't mean having a shower in the morning only. Freshness is products, is food. We must understand this terminology or this slogan. It's domestic. We must own our natural resources, we must own our own country, and we must develop it between ourselves. We cannot continue to be second-class citizens in our own country. Those days are over. Over. So, who supports it? And that's why this Chinese matter which came up. We don't sell the Chinese, we give them 3% of the production. Because why? We can't discriminate against them, they have an outlet. But if you learn Chinese economics, it teaches you one thing. 101 class, drop price, take market, raise price. That's what they do. They came into all these areas and they dropped their prices, right? Go back 2 months from now and see the same price. The prices are going to go up. And what happened to your moms and pop stores? What happened to your neighbors who had a shop there? They're gone, right? Why is it happening? You know why? Because we are going to those shops and buying the goods. If you don't go to those shops, your father, your mother, your neighbor's shop are going to stay in business. They will stay in business. Again, too, we moms and pops have to understand economic programs. You can't raise prices like that. You have to support each other. That is the essence of this business. And I don't have to tell you about Mr. Trump. Now in America. Every day is everything about America first. Apply the same principle to Ghana. We are also launching something called the Loyalty Customer Program. You're going to hear more about it next 2-3 weeks. What it is, every shareholder is going to get a card, like an ID card, with a number in it. You're going to have customers who join in the program. And every month, like I said, next month, it could be GT beer. You buy a case of GT beer or whatever you buy, you keep your receipt. And we're going to call your number. With that number refers to you, you bring in our receipt. You can get as much as $20,000. You can get gifts and everything. So every month in the year, we're going to have different products, bread, Demico House, soft drinks. All of this will take place in our company. So this loyalty card is a new program that what we're doing. I've said enough, my fellow shareholders and the holding company. A shareholder asks, what is a holding company? And I must say it's a type of business entity that does not produce goods or services itself. Instead, its primary purpose is to own shares of other companies. It is known as a parent company that controls and manages subsidiaries. And the question is, why do companies set up an holding company? One key reason is to limit liability by creating a separate legal entity. The holding company can protect its assets from risks associated with subsidiaries. companies will have to start doing this. The largest holding company in Ghana is Mr., owned by the Ghana government. If you are in business today, you cannot put all your business under one company. That's bad business. Because if it's to fail, everything goes with it. But if you do subsidiaries, the subsidiary either is succeed or it fail. It does not affect the parent company. So you're just, as fast as you expand your business, I'm saying this not only in public companies, but even in private companies, look at subsidiaries in your company. Look at it and look at it seriously. Because it's the way how to protect your company. Let's take Basi with Bank Jais Limited. We're doing air conditioners, we're selling cars now from China, and all the cars which came in from banks are already sold. A new car in banks is only $5 million. It's cheaper than a used car. We're selling motor bicycles and the business is thriving. Right? We're selling air conditions. The largest air conditioning company in the world has a contract with banks, Daikin company. Now, if that company is to fail, it doesn't affect Banks Jais Limited. Does not. Subsidiary. If Daikin comes tomorrow morning and said, here, I want to expand with you, put down a plant to create air conditioning, we sell them shares in that company. We don't sell them shares in the holding company. So whatever profit comes from that company, it goes as a dividend. It goes as a dividend to the holding company, and dividends, you don't pay taxes. So there are benefits to the holding companies where tax liabilities are concerned. All of this, my fellow shareholders, it takes time to plan. And that is why I don't want to criticize anyone, but I don't think they understand these financial models that run companies do these things. The last one I have, which I want to share with you, a shareholder asked the question, said, Mr. Chairman, I've taken note that in the notice of the meeting that there is no recommendation for charitable donations. Is this an omission? Well, it's a good question because there was nothing in the holding company annual report which spoke about giving charitable donations. It falls under the company Banks Jais Limited. We will continue with the donations. As a matter of fact, in Banks Jais Limited, at their annual general meeting, they provided $6,080,000 towards donations. So the system have not changed here. We are going to donate money to organizations and schools under that category. So those are 2 or 3 questions I just wanted to address with you. Are there any questions from the floor, fellow shareholders?